FlowWatch, who is partnering with Ben Franklin. You're going to hear today 3 very interesting proposals that hopefully spark some interest in you to take some time over the next 3 weeks to work on a solution for them. And with that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Satwik from Nextox, who along with Phil has really been key to getting this off the ground and making it what it is today. Satwik?
All right, great. Thanks, Dean. So I want to, as quickly as possible, get to the actual challenges that we're going to be talking about here. So I'll just take a couple minutes to talk to you about the hackathon, what we envision here. And at the very end of this, we're going to have an opportunity for questions. And I want all of you to think about the types of things that are going to make you excited to participate, and what are some of the questions here, because we know we're developing something new and different from the traditional hackathon. The goal here, as Dean mentioned, is really to connect developers working on great technologies, many of which we're talking about in this conference, with enterprises represented here who need your help to innovate, to build new technologies, to really question some of the opportunities and some of the assumptions that have been made with enterprise technology today. And so in this hackathon, what we've done is, instead of leaving it open to developers to build around a particular mobile technology and another web application framework, we've structured it so that there are challenges that you'll hear about. And what your job is to basically spend the next 2.5 weeks taking the time to build real applications that have a purpose, that are helping with one of these challenges, and submit both screenshots and videos of the app, plus some slides that talk about the business value. The reason for both of those aspects is because what we're looking to do here is help you create products that are attractive to customers in the area, customers in key industries, and then potentially start a business, or if not starting a business, at least have a grant towards a product that you can build and have your first customer sitting in the room here today. So the technology is often a topic of a hackathon. It's usually about a particular technology, a particular area. Here, the technology is really your choice. It's more about understanding the business problems and the challenges, and then using the technologies that you know best, that you're most excited about, to solve the challenges that you're going to hear about here. So you've all got phones in the audience. I want you to pay attention, but while you do that, if you haven't registered yet, you can go to the website and register. The other thing I'll point out is there's a lot of people in all of these other rooms who haven't had the opportunity here to walk out with the registration. So I'd encourage you, as you leave, to mention it to all of your friends who made the unfortunate decision to go to another talk, and let them know about all the exciting opportunities here. We think we have a great set of prizes, $125,000 plus a number of other things we'll go over, and we think we have a very exciting program here. So to kick things off, we're going to hear from our life sciences track. Teva Pharmaceuticals is our key sponsor here. They have a couple challenges that they'll discuss. And so presenting those is Jill Forrest, who's actually not on the technology side, is someone who represents a customer of yours, someone who would be benefiting from the technology that we're talking about here. She's the VP of Oncology, is that right? Oncology Global Marketing, and really has, I think is very excited to see what comes out of this.
Good morning. And yes, my name is Jill Forrest, and I'm the Vice President of Oncology Global Marketing for Teva Pharmaceuticals, and I'm really pleased to be here, and this is exciting for me. And as Satwik mentioned, I'm the person who struggles with and has the problems. I'm the person who calls up and says, help me figure out how to do this, or I'm the one running around complaining when I can't find the information I need, or at least challenging my team to find a better way to coordinate it. So in our industry, healthcare in particular is a very technology-driven industry, and we're very much rooted in developing and innovating new technological advances for the delivery of healthcare, either through technology or through innovative medicines. And it's a very competitive industry, and it's one that requires you to stay in sync with technology. But we're not always aligned with how to use technology to do our job better, and that's where we're here today to engage you in helping us solve what on the surface may sound like simple issues, but are really complex and challenging to us. The industry is very challenging, as I mentioned, and we're competing with other companies every day to provide innovative solutions to unmet medical needs. We were racing to get products to market, and we're facing a variety of challenges, including, and most importantly, we're a highly regulated industry. We have regulatory challenges that vary around the globe between different regulatory bodies here in the US and Europe and other countries and regions that we hope to operate in. To add to that, the complexity of trying to bring new compounds to different regions with different healthcare markets, different demands and needs that vary across the globe. And then trying to centralize that activity under our global operations. So we're looking for innovative solutions to help us really bring our medicines to the patient, and that's the end goal. But in between there's a number of other customers along the way, and a number of interfaces. Who's Teva? Teva Pharmaceuticals, many of you have heard of Teva, maybe Teva the sandal company, that's one we're usually mistaken with. But Teva is one of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies. We're based out of Israel. We're $20 billion in revenue and with 60,000 employees around the globe, operating in about as many countries around the globe. We're the world's largest provider of generic medicines. We're also involved in innovative, or what we call branded medicines. We are the leading provider of MS therapy. We have the #1 MS therapy called Copaxone. So many people are not aware of us on a day-to-day basis, but one of the statistics we love to share is that 1 in 5 of you in this room, if you open your medicine cabinet, 1 in 5 prescriptions is filled with a Teva product. So tonight when you go home, open your cabinet, I bet you have a Teva prescription in your medicine cabinet. But with all that in mind, we have a lot of challenges from a technology standpoint. And we don't have the IT interface systems that take what is a global company providing medicines around the globe to bring together the information to launch those products effectively and efficiently. So our big challenge to you is to help us with that. We are getting ready to launch a number of drugs, and actually my team is responsible for the first global launch of a compound for Teva, an innovative compound for Teva. So we have a compound in development for prostate cancer, which we plan to launch in every market around the world. We're faced with different challenges, from both regulatory challenges, market access challenges, and different hurdles that we have to overcome. The biggest hurdle, however, is integrating the coordination of different functions within our company, from regulatory, clinical, manufacturing, commercial, and bringing those groups together to coordinate a launch that will be effective around allowing us to enter those markets around the globe. Right now we have a number of disparate systems. Everybody's got their own system. Regulatory has a project management system. Commercial has a project management system. Clinical works on another system if they're preparing the application for the regulatory agencies. And we don't communicate well. We don't have a way of bringing that information together in a user-friendly format. So our challenge to this group is helping us bring together all the different parts of information pieces to help us create an interface that's, if you will, user-friendly for someone like myself in the marketing department who doesn't have the technology experience to be able to look and find that information. There's a number of interdependencies across all those different systems that we need to coordinate. So that's our #1 challenge to this group. And ultimately, what's the benefit to me is that if this system allows us to work more efficiently, we could bring a product to market faster, and that in turn turns into multiples of millions of dollars in opportunity for the company. The faster we get to market, we may beat a competitor, but more importantly, we bring product to patients who need it, and particularly in my area, in oncology, that's really a critical time-sensitive matter. The second challenge is somewhat related, and once we have a drug in the market, we have just an rich, immense amount of information that we need to share. And as all of you know, in a tech-savvy audience like this, you have a question about your own healthcare. I'm sure you run to your favorite search engine, you go to Google, WebMD, whatever. There's a tremendous amount of information out there that patients are dealing with. That's the same for us internally. We have a tremendous amount of information we need to distribute around the globe, but we don't have a system which allows all of our markets to access that information. And so this system, we need, again, another user-friendly system that allows all the regions of the world to access information on our products in the regulatory approved fashion, because we are, as I mentioned, highly regulated, and there's restrictions around the promotion of our compounds and how we use information. so we need an interface for all of our markets to access that information and use it appropriately. The two challenges are actually very related, but they're also extremely complex in their nature for us. So those are our two challenges, and we look forward to working with one of you guys or gals and with a solution to help us solve those.
All right, thanks, Jill. I mean, what's really exciting to me about this particular challenge is, if looking at it from a developer's perspective, there's really a whole set of technologies that can be applied here. If you look at the simplification of email, the simplification of file sharing, all the different consumer technologies that are out there, think about the design elements of those experiences and try to overlay them on top of some very complex business processes. When you sign up for this challenge, Teva is going to be inviting you to either a conference call or an email back and forth discussion where they'll tell you about some of the very complex use cases, the rules and regulations that are there for who needs to approve what at what time and so forth. And so what we're talking about here is trying to build the best web experience possible, the best mobile experience possible that incorporates some very complex business logic under the covers. And I think it's a pretty exciting opportunity. So I hope some of you think the same and sign up. Our next challenge is around the water space. We have a company, FlowWatch, which is sponsored by the Ben Franklin Technology Partners, working with the Delaware River Water Alliance. And speaking here from FlowWatch is Bruno Levine, as well as from Ben Franklin is Mark Trebold.
Thanks. So my name is Mark Trebold. I just wanted to take 1 minute and talk about Ben Franklin. For those of you who don't know Ben Franklin Technology Partners is best known for being a nonprofit investment company providing seed funding for small businesses in the Philadelphia area for the past 30 years. One of the other things that Ben Franklin does that's not so well known is to form regional coalitions such as the Delaware River Water Alliance. And Delaware River Water Alliance is supporting the water infrastructure and water supply, again, in the Philadelphia area, trying to bring new technology and commercialize new technology in the area rapidly so that we can avoid billions of dollars of spending in the future. One of our member companies is FlowWatch, and I'll ask Bruno to introduce FlowWatch and talk about his challenge.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, and indeed it is exciting to be in front of this team and this room to present our challenge. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the space we're in. It's the municipal water, wastewater. So when you were in your medicine cabinet, looking at whether you had Teva or not, then you're going to open up your water faucet. And that's where the water utility is, like right there at the interface. So you're running the water, drinking that water. How does that water get there? Where does it come from? What are the treatment processes? What are the chemicals? So on and so forth. And then when you go to the bathroom, where does that water go? Who treats it? So there's that entire space that is generally not visible that is critical to our society. And so this is the space we're in, the water, wastewater space. And we actually, with Ben Franklin and the Delaware River Alliance, we're bringing together, different members of this space. So, just to continue, the challenge that the water utility space is facing is it's highly, once again, regulated. And the focus is on making sure compliance is met, safe water. And then, FlowWatch actually came with a solution to help consolidate operational data from the end user. And I'll talk a little bit more about FlowWatch. But what we're spearheading is really the need for web tools, web application. And our challenge, we'll talk a little bit more about the challenge, but it's really interfacing with the customer. And we'll talk a little bit about that aspect. But on the water, wastewater, what we're seeing is a tremendous change in technology, where, keep in mind, pen and paper and clipboards are still the rule for probably 80% of the systems across the U.S. We're talking about over 54,000 water, wastewater utilities, and this is not even talking about the different, individual plants. So the challenge, I'll tell you a little bit more about FlowWatch. Actually, we're a relatively young company, but we have all the insight of the market. And my background is 25 years of water utility, working on operations, working on all those aspects. And when we released our initial application, FlowWatch Omni, over a year ago, we pierced the market. We're within a year at 80 plants online across the U.S. We also have systems in place in Europe and in the Middle East. And we're expecting systems over 150 plants online by the end of this year. So this is actually demonstrating the high value and the need for, once again, consolidation, but also the change in technology. And the business opportunity here for FlowWatch is to bring to the utilities not just a platform, but we would like to see FlowWatch apps or ops apps, hooking up to FlowWatch and using FlowWatch as an interface. So we're actually making available, the XML schemas, the XSD, to enable to interface and create that app. As part of the review process, of course you'll be interfacing with the FlowWatch IT team, but also the Delaware River Water Alliance, and what's critical here, because this space is huge, so we actually narrowed it down to one example, because in four weeks' time you have to stay focused. So the concept here is that the FlowWatch application at the bottom is really the enabler that we've developed that's highly configurable, highly usable from the end user. And the end user here is really the operation. So you have to imagine that you have operators, you have field crews, so on and so forth. But who are they serving? They're serving the customer. The customer is on top, on the top right. And the customer, today, in today's world, is not just a passive, a person or group. They should be viewed as an extension to the operation, the eyes and ears on the ground. And so if there's something happening, and not just a complaint on the water bill, but if there's something happening on the water quality, on those aspects, we would like to see the app, come into FlowWatch, create a immediate response to the operation. So there's that initial, question. Is it a water quality issue? Is it a asset management issue? Is there a leak? Is there, lack of pressure? Is there odor issues? And so the customer needs to be able to alert the utility. Today they can pick up the phone, but where is that going to go? Am I going to be online waiting? So here, with this app, the customer, would be able to inform the utility. The utility, and there, it's open to your imagination, but in terms of the type of information, also, pictures, location, and then the information, once it's sent, it goes to, the operator there. What happens, we'll work with you in terms of notifications, in terms of those aspects, but this is only the first part, of the challenge. The second part is really the analytics behind the scenes. So we want to be able, and this could be almost like a two-step approach, providing the customer, because at the end it's going to be the utilities that are going to be purchasing this app for their customers, and so you can have an analytics segment with dashboards, indicating, what are the problems, what is the frequency, is there a specific area, what was the time to impact, things like that. So we'll actually work with you. We'll provide once again, the XML, the XSD. We'll have weekly calls. We actually also assist you with the finalists, assist with the finalists with a sandbox, and work really with you one-on-one to make sure that the application is not just a theoretical exercise, but we want a functioning application, something that we can take to the marketplace and sell to utilities like a one-off service on a licensing basis. That being said, I want to thank everyone and looking forward to hearing from you and engaging with you on this opportunity, because this is a great step.
All right, great. Thanks, Bruno, and thanks, Mark. We've been talking about this challenge for a while as well, and from a technology perspective, thinking about the enormous kind of proliferation of camera-based apps out there. There's everything from Instagram to couponing apps like SnipSnap that really have kind of pioneered the concept of having an image, taking a photo, and then putting some metadata around it, putting some categorization around it, maybe even applying a filter on top of it. I think there's a lot of opportunity here to do something really cool and take advantage of not only what's already been done in the consumer space, but really use this opportunity to create some new innovation that hasn't been seen before. And so I'm excited to not only see what comes out, but maybe even use some of these apps in my house when I've got some water issues. So the final challenge is going to be presented by Ben Rogers from Bentley Systems. Ben is going to be talking about some challenges on the physical infrastructure side. Here you go.
Great. Well, we're really excited to be here as well, and definitely thank all the people who've kind of worked behind the scenes to put this together. Again, I'm Ben Rogers, and I'm a software development manager at Bentley. So let me introduce you a little bit to Bentley Systems if you're not familiar with us. At Bentley, we talk about sustaining infrastructure. So infrastructure is everything from buildings, bridges, utility networks, nuclear power plants, anything above the ground and below the ground. And what we do is we provide comprehensive software solutions to meet the needs from kind of the design and build phase through the operations and then through inspection and maintenance of those infrastructure assets. So we're definitely a global leader kind of in 2D and 3D design software, but again, also providing software on the management side of the life cycle of the asset as well. Bentley's a family-owned business founded in 1984, and now we have 3,000 employees in 45 different countries. We have an office based here in Center City, Philadelphia. I'll talk a little bit later about that as well. So infrastructure, there's obviously a lot of topics we could cover. For the purposes of the hackathon and for this morning, I kind of want to narrow it down a little bit to the inspection industry and inspectors as a job function. And so just to kind of even establish what's going on here, and hopefully, kind of give you an idea of the need and the commitment when we talk about dollars being put into this space. The inspection industry, $7 billion in federal funds in 2013. MAP 21 in kind of the transportation space is money coming in through the Federal Highway Administration over the next couple of years. Again, billions of dollars coming in for a variety of initiatives, particularly in transportation infrastructure. And then even looking at the job title inspectors in building and construction fields. We're looking at a growing job function over the next couple of years as well. So again, to introduce, what are inspectors doing? And again, this is still a broad topic in terms of the types of assets we're talking about. But there are common themes here, common requirements. So first of all, inspectors, as you might imagine, are typically not sitting behind a desk. I mean, they're going out to where the infrastructure is. So they're often in disconnected scenarios. They're out in the field. They're away from our normal connectivity. And when they're looking at a building or a bridge or a plant, there are a few things that they're all doing in different ways. They have a need to reference, what is either the as-built design of the asset that they're looking at, or what was the prior year state of what they're observing. They need an accurate inventory of the components of a structure. When we start talking about inspections of large bridges, we're talking about multi-year, multi-million-dollar contracts, because these bridges have just huge number of components, and the inspectors that go out need to know what's there and need to be able to kind of track as they're recording observations. So finally they need a method to get this data down. It needs to be accurate. They need to take measurements. They're taking photos. They're often doing even video and audio notes as well as they're at the asset. So in terms of use cases, I think this is obviously a really practical job function, a practical area to think about the impact of mobile devices in particular. When you're out in the field, having something in your hand as a means to record data has been huge already, but there's still some common problems here, and it's still been an industry that's been kind of dominated by taking paper with you, maybe making notes, taking paper back to the office, recording that in when you get back. Again, even as mobile devices have come along, it's helped to kind of record some of that data, but we still see a gap, especially in terms of the model side of that. So if you have a design, whether a 2D or 3D design, a lot of times what we want to do is we want to record these observations back to that model, back to that design. And that's still really a gap that we see, where that's still something that's kind of done back in the office, and not so much on the mobile devices, even if they're able to record data. So that's really where our challenge is focused. We want to see you guys build a graphical interactive mobile inspection app. It's an inspection app that would record data, do some other things like collecting location-aware photos and observations. But we want it kind of driven from a 2D or 3D model, which again is something I'll talk about here, but something we can provide, especially for the scope of the hackathon. But we really see a need here and a gap that is calling for a solution to drive an inspection from the model and store data with the model. And I'll kind of lead in here to what you're going to leverage to do that. We have a mobile development SDK, and to kind of talk a little bit about that. So recognizing this need, we have developed a toolkit and an SDK specifically designed for mobile software, for mobile devices. If you have been developing mobile software, you're probably familiar with SQLite as a database platform. One of the innovative uses, we're not the only company doing it, but definitely an innovative use of the SQLite platform is to use it as a native application file format. So that's what we've done, and we have a file format based on SQLite, and a couple, two really big things there. One is the portability of SQLite. The reason it's used is because it's lightweight and really is supported on almost every major platform, particularly the mobile platform. So the portability there, but also the ability for us to have graphical data, this 3D or 2D data, as row-level data in a database allows it to be queried and combined with other relational data, but data that you would put together as part of inspections or observations. So a really powerful tool and a powerful step forward for us in terms of really kind of a next generation mobile graphics platform within our core products. So an example here, I'll encourage you, there's a link at the bottom if you want to go directly to our website. But Navigator Mobile is a product that is an app that we've released for the iPad just recently. You can get it on the App Store now. It's freely available. And a quick example that we show is just the ability to combine. Here's the display of a 3D model, and what we're doing here is we're kind of overlaying status information on top of that. And just a really quick example. But Navigator is hopefully would give you some ideas of what you can do on our platform. It's developed on our SDK and allows for a really cool joystick type game-like screen-like navigation of models, and something that we've just released to our partners. So available to anyone, really. So again, defining the business opportunity a little bit, focusing that a little bit more. So leveraging our tools, using a mobile platform, and applying it to this inspection space, you know, there's obviously kind of an efficiency, reducing the time it takes to identify defects, and increasing the accuracy of recording an inspected observation, you know, whether it is a defect or just, you know, the current you know, kind of state of a particular component of an asset. You know, you can do it faster and record it more accurately when you can kind of combine that data with the model. And again, what we've talked about already is the ability to kind of do this across a variety of platforms. Really is huge for us to get tools in the hands of, you know, whatever platform, whatever devices that inspectors or other field workers already have. So I won't dive in really deep here. I'll talk a little bit about the opportunities that you'll have as developers to do that with us. But just to introduce you a little bit to our stack here. So we do have some native level services and libraries that we're building, again, at the native level for a couple of the different platforms. But then we do have a whole layer of more portable, all of what you see at the bottom, we call our DGN platform and DGN display. DGN is our native graphics format. And the platform and display modules are C++ modules that come out of our core products. Some of you may be familiar with MicroStation, which has been around for almost 30 years as a 3D and 2D design tool. So the DGN platform and DGN display is really an API into our low-level software that we've been developing for years. And we've enabled that as part of our mobile SDK to allow you to build on top of that, building native or more ubiquitous layers on top of the platform there. So this kind of makes up our stack that you'll be working with. And you know, what we want to look at in terms of, you know, how are we going to measure you? We do want you to build an Android or iOS app. You know, again, you can use a sample model that we can provide for the purposes of the hackathon. And we really want to see this approach of an inspection scenario driven from a model, demonstrating, you know, I think along the way, an understanding of some basic, you know, inspection use cases and understanding that job function in, you know, again, from what you can do in a 2.5-week period. But we want to see some, you know, innovative uses, innovative concepts around the use of our SDK, the consumption of our SDK, and how, you know, how you might extend it. It's something that, you know, we're excited to see how other developers outside the company will take that and kind of run with it. As far as next steps, if you're going to work with us, we really want to meet you this Thursday evening in like the 5 to 7 range. Again, we're in the center city, right near the suburban station. I can give you more details as you register for the hackathon. But we want you to come down to our office, and through the scope of the hackathon, we're going to give you access to the developers that have, you know, actually put together this SDK, worked on our core platform team. So you'll have direct access to them. I'll be a point person kind of for questions and kind of guiding you through, hopefully helping you with some of your ideas and guiding you through the development. But we're going to give you access to the SDK. We're going to give you access to a model. Again, our, you know, kind of tight ties to SQLite, there are a lot of possibilities just kind of building on that open platform as well. And I think, again, your familiarity there will really help you to kind of build out an application for us. So definitely, we're excited about the opportunity, and you know, we'll be available today and Thursday again as you register. Definitely let us know if you can make it Thursday. We'd like to meet you and start to get you hooked up with our developers. Thanks.
So I hope you guys are excited. I think, you know, I hope you see we've got some exciting challenges here. The Bentley Challenge really gets into some very interesting aspects of 3D modeling, as well as you can imagine all the really cool things you can do in terms of browsing and accessing content on an iPad or on a tablet device. And then combining that with the data side is something that I think is a trend across many industries, across many applications. And what you've got in the Bentley SDK is an opportunity to really dive into a purpose-built software development kit and really understand the linkage between the browsing experience, the interactive design, as well as the underlying data, and do it, for a really deep purpose. So I think it's a much more exciting opportunity to me than, playing with kind of a generic open source platform, because you're really diving in, using open source technology, but really diving into a very important purpose. So the most important part of the talk are the prizes. What are the opportunities here? And this is something that I think if you participate in other hackathons like I have, I hope you see, we've got some pretty compelling prizes here, some things that you may not see at other hackathons. For the life sciences and infrastructure track, the winning entries have a $50,000 prize purse. So basically, the structure here we'll go over in a minute, but the winning teams, there's a $50,000 prize available to each of the teams in those tracks, and then a $25,000 prize for the team in the water and utilities. We see these as grants that'll help you go beyond just the period of the hackathon and really bring these products out as something that could be used by the customers you see here in the room, as well as if you have the aspiration, starting your own business, starting your own product, and commercializing it beyond just the customers you see here. We also have a few other things to help get started. So the winners will also get a $1,000 credit with AWS, and the finalists will get a $600 credit. We also have some credits available for anyone participating in the hackathon. We'll have those codes available as part of when you register. And for those interested in taking advantage of it, VentureForth has offered to do 3 months of incubation. The incubation they provide is a combination of the space as well as mentorship from the other startups that are located there, as well as the other entrepreneurs that are part of their ecosystem. And I've been to VentureForth for a number of different events, and it's actually a great space to come and really be creative and think of new ideas, as well as grow a company. And so I could see this being useful both if you're looking at this as a way to accelerate your own company, as well as if you're a developer with a job that you're happy with, but you want to see this as a side project that you can work on. It's a great community to become a part of. And then finally, I think the biggest prize of all is the opportunity to work with your first customer. I'm the CTO of NextDocs, a company that was started and didn't take any capital for the first 5 years, because instead what NextDocs focused on was growing our customer base. We worked with a small set of customers in the pharmaceutical industry, built technology that served their needs, and then continued to grow the company by finding more and more customers. And I have to tell you, it's a great way to grow a business, because number one, you're growing based on what people actually want. You're working directly with your customers. And then number two, from a capital perspective, it's certainly much better to raise customers than to raise capital. And so here you have an opportunity to do that with some customers who you've seen are really excited and really engaged to work with you. Finally, the IP is yours. There's more info on the rules here. With some help from Morgan Lewis, we've crafted what we think is a pretty attractive set of agreements that basically what you're building here, the sponsors have the right to be the first customer, but the work that you're doing is your own. And so you're building in a product not as a development project for the customers you see here, but instead what you're building is something that you own, that you can build out, commercialize, and take forward. So the key thing to do now is to select one or more of these challenges that excite you. I hope you've found at least one, if not more. Go to our website, register. When you register, you can select which challenges you're interested in. All that means is basically that those are the people who you're going to hear from about next steps. You'll be able to get the information you saw presented here, as well as the scheduling information for either the meetups or the conference calls that we'll be holding with the different participants here. If you're thinking about the kind of time commitment involved here, we're looking for at least kind of a weekend's worth of work and more, depending on what you're willing to put in. You saw challenges that really could be a full year's worth of development to really meet the full challenge here. But what we're looking for are developers who demonstrate some very innovative ideas, some great design elements, some great architectural patterns, and then build them out with enough demonstration of the use cases that the sponsors here select you as the winner and then want to work with you to really commercialize it. So I don't want you to feel like you're coming in here and participating and you need to take 3 weeks off from your day job to participate here. This is really something we're looking at, focusing on the creativity and innovation, and then working with you after the hackathon to really build out the product. April 19th is the deadline for submissions. We have more information on the site, and we'll have a place where you can actually submit. What we're looking for there is a combination of some screenshots, videos of your application, but then also, as I said before, some information and insight from you into how you see this solving the business problems and how you see this growing. Because what we're looking for here is a real partner to work with the businesses that you see here. Once those submissions are in, we'll spend a couple days selecting finalists, and then the finalists will have that last week of April to work in a closer manner with our sponsors here to result in a live demo that'll be presented at the Shark Tank on May 1st. So on May 1st, each of the 3 challenges you see here will be hosting a single event at the Sierra Center in the city. And basically we'll have a 10 to 15 minute demonstration and discussion with each of the finalists. So really in-depth, we're not doing the 60-second demos, but we're really doing an in-depth discussion with each of the finalists, and then we'll award the prizes. So that's it. That's what's going on. I hope you're as excited as I am. My email is up here. Let me know if you have questions. Philly Hackathon is our Twitter account. Definitely follow that for more updates as well. And with that, I'll open it up to questions. Feel free to ask questions either about how the hackathon is going to work, as well as if you have questions about any of the particular challenges you see here. Definitely happy to take questions on either end. Sure. That's really up to you and the sponsor. I mean, what we're looking for here is to kind of have that spark, and then what we're hoping for is that a few of those sparks really lead to, potentially businesses being created here. But the commitment here is really the hackathon, just the submission you put in, and then the preparation for the live demo, and then that's really what will be judged, what you'll be judged on. So how many of you are already registered? And how many of you are going to register now after hearing the challenges? How many of you are going to talk to others here, maybe find some team members and get them excited? All right, at least a few hands. That's good. Great. Are there other questions about any of the tracks or about the hackathon? Sure. Any feedback from you guys? So basically the question is if the developers produce an app and release it under an open source license, meaning anyone can modify and contribute to it, is that something that you would be okay with?
What's critical is really, at least on the water side, the industry is going into a certain direction that is to lead to more apps and more, specific solutions. So, if that's, if that works, that's fine.
Would that limit what information you would share about TBAs?
Well, on the water side, yeah, on the water side, we already said, we have XML and XSD schemas that we're, making available, not just within the context.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. A couple things. I mean, part of it is sort of what happens again after the initial. Where's it going to go from there? I think there's probably some discussion that could take place there. I think I'd have to probably defer that for now in terms of whether again our SDK obviously is an open source. As far as whether your application could be built on our SDK, I think we probably have to talk about that a little bit more. I'm not sure if I'm prepared to answer that right now, but I definitely understand.
Same for us.
So I think it's a combination of basically having one or two really innovative design elements. It could be, for example, on the user experience side, a gesture that you come up with, or the right kind of look and feel, the right way to easily consume lots of content. Or on the back end, it could be a very elegant approach to how you store data back that needs to be communicated on a frequent basis. Or for example, what you saw on the Bentley side, something around basically doing some of the analytics on the fly and so on and so forth. Basically, one or two kind of key innovations that maybe says something you've worked on before that you're looking to apply here, or maybe something you're inspired by here. It's the combination of that with addressing more than one, but not every use case that you've seen presented in each of the challenges. Because what that demonstrates is that you have built something that has the potential to scale across the entire organization. So for example, in the Teva case, when you hear that they're looking for a project management app, you may think, well, aren't there dozens of these, aren't there hundreds of these available in the consumer space, or even in the enterprise space? And the answer is yes, but there isn't one that's really cracked the nut of being able to scale to both a complex global organization where because you're in a heavily regulated environment, you have multiple people in multiple geographies all really concerned about meeting the regulations and trying to do the same things, having redundancy, not being aware of what each other are doing, scaling to that complex type of scenario, but then also scaling to the very simple scenario where you've got a single individual and a single team trying to manage a small set of tasks. So if someone came up with the right design element that could kind of address those two use cases, that would be the spark of innovation that someone like Teva, I imagine, would see and say, look, that's something that we could then see applying to all 78 plus of our different scenarios. So ingredients of success are, like I said, the design element, the individuals on the team who have both the interest in either applying something they've built before or building something here, as well as really coming in and understanding enough of the use case to build something compelling. What other questions can we answer? All right. Well, thanks very much. I'm around all day, so definitely find me if you have other questions, and I hope to see you all participating. Thanks.